Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Rachel Williams begins now.
Good evening, everyone. The adoption of a controversial new protocol at the Royal Hobart Hospital could see patients waiting in corridors and asked to ring a handbell for attention. The plan was designed to free up space as the often overcrowded emergency department continues to struggle with growing patient pressure.
Hobart's busy emergency department. The hospital's overcrowding woes are well known.
Everyone at the Royal Hobart Hospital understands the difficulties under which they're working, and they're all doing their very, very best to provide very high-level patient care, and that's what it's about.
In an effort to free up space, the hospital has now adopted a controversial overcapacity protocol, a plan originally met with concern from staff when it was proposed last year.
Certainly I think the ANMF and its members recognise that it is a protocol that's been put in place because there are limited other options for a hospital that's constantly under considerable strain.
Under the plan, some patients deemed clinically stable and awaiting discharge will wait in chairs around the hospital, including in alcoves and corridors, given a handbell to ring if they need attention. In a statement, the hospital's clinical director said the changes would lead to better patient outcomes and less pressure on the ED. But it's been labelled as a case of making the best of a bad situation.
They're trying to have the situation so that all patients that attend the Royal Hobart Hospital can be seen in a timely fashion and well cared for. We all know that the emergency department at the Royal's been under enormous pressure for a long time. We'd all rather that it wasn't.
They're doing the best they can by patients, but I don't think there's anyone in Tasmania who would agree that the best care for patients is in a corridor or an alcove and are given a handbell to ring for assistance.
All hoping for an increase in health spending when the state budget is handed down next week. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
The Federal Labor Party has committed to helping communities bounce back after this summer's devastating bushfires, announcing today $5 million to go towards the Terhune Forest Airwalk to get it back up and running after much of the popular tourist attraction was destroyed in the blaze. Another $5 million will be spent at the Mount Field National Park to improve facilities and manage growing visitor numbers.
What we want to do is provide additional support to communities as they recover. It is so critically important.
There's still, I would say, some mental health stress and anxiety. We know that in the future, us as leaders are preparing that as we move into another bushfire season, that anxiety level will ramp up again.
Part of the investment will also be spent upgrading Hastings Caves in an effort to attract additional tourists to the area. Anti-pokies campaigner Meg Webb has been elected as Nelson's representative in the Legislative Council after counting was completed late last night. It was a tight-fought race to the top, but after preferences were distributed, Ms Webb finished with 60% of votes. Celebrating today, she said social issues such as access to health services, cost of living and housing affordability were concerns brought up most throughout her campaign.
Everything that comes through the Legislative Council, I'll be putting a community lens on it, looking at it, what's in the best interests of the Nelson community and Tasmania more broadly.
It's not surprising that she won because the candidates who polled the most primary votes were generally left-wing candidates, and there was always going to be a big pooling of their preferences against the Liberals.
Following the May 4 election, she'll join incumbents Liberal member Leonie Hiskett and Labor's Joe Seeker when the Upper House resumes next week. A West Coast community is hoping a notorious black spot for Telstra phone coverage is fixed sooner rather than later. Residents have spoken about the need to improve coverage to end years of frustration for tourists and businesses at Tulla.
Tulla may be the gateway to the West Coast, but it's also ground zero for phone coverage. Zero bars just about everywhere.
They've got to be outside, maybe have the phone leaning against a window.
Currently, only Optus has a tower in the town, catching visitors on other networks off guard, while creating a barrier to businesses like this one, which is hoping to attract more corporate guests to its new function centre.
Feedback is very, very negative when people obviously because it's something people kind of expect these days to have reception.
But change might not be far off, with an increased financial commitment to a new mobile base station in the town from Telstra revealed today, on top of federal funding promised during the Braddon by-election.
Base stations typically can cost towards $1 million.
Those who work at the Tulla Lakeside Lodge say this town is in fact the worst on the West Coast when it comes to reception.
A sentiment shared by a local real estate firm which had to install a special receiver just to receive calls from mobiles.
Before we had to put in the receptor, it was very difficult. We did lose a lot of business.
A permit for Telstra's proposed tower has not yet received council approval. The project will cost around $5 million if it goes ahead. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian shipbuilder Richardson Devine Marine has been awarded the contract to build a second ferry for the Bruny Island service. The first new ferry is currently under construction and is expected to start operations by the end of this year.
Certainly it's about innovation, and we are exploring the option of making these electric. So they'll be driven by hydroelectric power, and they'll have electric engines and battery to operate with.
These boats will be far more manoeuvrable, which will aid docking the boats faster, and they're a single deck boat, so loading and unloading will be quicker.
The new vessel is costed at $7.5 million and is set to be completed by March 2021. Welcome back. Years of oversupply and low prices has made growing poppies a tough task for Tassie farmers. While many feel the glory days are long since gone, there's new hope the industry is on the rebound.
At a winery just outside of Launceston, the state's tall poppies are gathering. Tasmanian Alkaloids is honouring the company's cream of the crop, and there's more to smile about than just awards.
Last season we harvested a little over 5,000 hectares, which in itself was an increase on the previous year from 4,500 hectares, but this year we're looking to plant between 8,000 and 8,500 hectares.
10 years ago, roughly 25,000 hectares were harvested across the state. But recent years have left the industry grappling with a global oversupply and a price crash.
So the Tasmanian poppy industry has been in a decreasing size over the last 3 years. We're now seeing that size get back up to a more regular area.
Poppies are still worth $100 million to the state's economy, and Tasmanian Alkaloids still produces half of the world's legal opiate crop. Until recently, a fight had been brewing with growers over what it paid for crops.
Last year, we made the statement that that enough was enough. We can't take any more price reductions, and the companies have listened and they've come out with their best prices they can offer us.
Rick Rockcliffe has been growing since the 1970s. His only concern this year is the weather.
We're going to have to get a lot of rain in the next few months, which in itself will be somewhat of a challenge. Every season's different, and I think that's what we love about farming.
Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
Members of Tasmania's whisky industry are celebrating its global success, with our state home to some of the world's most awarded spirits. They're preparing to showcase our best drops at a special event in August.
Producers holding on to some of Tasmania's most iconic spirits. In their hands, award-winning whiskies.
We're destined for great things. We're only just getting started.
Here today to launch Whisky Week, an event to begin on the 12th of August.
We're starting to own winter.
These products being recognised worldwide, helping our industry grow at an unprecedented level.
It's phenomenal, flying actually. This year's been our biggest year yet. So we've been winning some major awards for quite a lot of our distilleries, which is great for everybody.
Robbie started distilling in 2014 and has witnessed the industry balloon.
Well, when I started there was 9 distilleries, and now we've got close to 40, and some private bottlers as well. And each one of them have had recognition.
The tourism industry lapping it up, whisky connoisseurs flocking to Tasmania to taste the smooth spirits for themselves.
Realistically, we have the world's best whisky, which has been won by Sullivan's Cove twice now, and that's the first time anywhere in the world that's happened.
And John has some advice to those who may not yet be partial.
Just find a whisky, try different whiskies, and you'll find a whisky you like and just go from there.
Louise Hedger, 7 Tasmania News.
Dark Mofo has released another instalment of its music and arts lineup, and in true Mofo style, it's signed set to shock or entertain. Among the new events, a walk called Dark Path, a 4-kilometre trail dotted with art, starting at Hobart's Regatta Grounds, trailing through the Domain to the Botanical Gardens. The Winter Feast is also set to feature almost 80 stallholders, as well as a new program for the younger festival goers. The Liberal Party is promising to provide $250,000 to upgrade facilities at the Bridgenorth Football Club if it wins the election. But the Prime Minister's announcement was almost overshadowed by a club legend known as J-Rod, whose mullet earned the praise of the PM, who called it the best he's ever seen. The funding will go towards lighting and better drainage at the ground. Labor has previously committed $150,000 to the football club. They've cut the ribbon at their relocated home, but now a Launceston service for new parents is calling for extra hands to help make light work. The Haven officially opened today after moving into Launceston's TasTAFE campus. The service helps parents with health and wellbeing and is open 3 mornings a week.
Ideally, we'd love to be open 5 days a week with the support of some volunteers for the organisation. And it's just a really lovely, bright, airy space for families to relax and enjoy.
The centre is operated by the Child Health Association of Tasmania. When it comes to fighting cancer with morning tea, who better to trust than a group of senior citizens? Scones and coffee filled the tables at Grindelwald's Leisure Garden Estate, with some residents going all out for the occasion.
Some of the ladies have been up at the crack of dawn making scones, and I'm just wafting around enjoying the moment.
Organisers are hopeful they'll raise $5,000 to contribute to the Cancer Council fundraiser.
Welcome back. Basketball first, and it's crunch time for the Southern Huskies, with the side's New Zealand NBL hopes hanging on by a thread following back-to-back losses. And the club is calling on bigger crowds for its next 2 home games to help get the season back on track.
The Huskies coach was slapped with a fine following his criticism of the referees following last weekend's 7-point loss to the Southland Sharks, but he had no regrets today.
I don't think it's coming from just myself. It's a number of coaches across the league, so something's got to change.
Sitting precariously at 6 on the league ladder with 2 wins from 6 games, the Huskies face another tough test at the Silverdome this Saturday night up against the Nelson Giants. But after matching it for the bulk of the contest against 2 of the competition's benchmark sides, Stewart isn't losing hope just yet.
Some concerns down the stretch when the intensity lifts. Hopefully another week together on the track will help that, but right now it's backs to the wall. No more excuses, we've got to win games. So if we're any chance of making playoffs, this is the next 2 games at home are must-wins.
Another side keen to get their season back on track is the Launceston Tornadoes, having slipped to 15th on the NBL 1 ladder following 3 losses on the trot. They take on Albury Wodonga at home this Friday night.
We know we can do it. We had a couple solid wins against Hobart and Waverley. And we just continue to shoot the ball like we know how to, continue to play defense like we know how to, and we will be fine. We're getting enough production. We just got to continue to play with confidence on the floor, and that's what we're going to do this Friday.
Tasmanian cruiserweight Jaden Plugger Joseph could be in line for an Australian title shot sooner than expected following a hard-fought win at last weekend's Rumble at the racetrack in Hobart. And the brawler says he's more than confident he can bring the belt back to Tasmania.
Up against one of the toughest fighters Tasmania's produced in Gary Brown, Joseph knew he was in for a hard slog in order to retain his state cruiserweight title.
Well, me and Gary do a lot of sparring. I know he's one of the toughest sparring partners I've got. I weren't losing. I knew I weren't losing. I knew it would be a tough test, but I knew I wouldn't lose.
Following an early knockdown, Plugger had his opponent rattled and for a split second thought he'd won the fight then and there.
Even though we are mates, it's when we're in the ring fighting, it's business. So I tried for the stoppage, I didn't get it. Hats off to Gary.
Coming away with a unanimous points win, Joseph's camp has shifted focus towards his next fight and another potential shot at the Australian cruiserweight crown.
That's a massive goal. I lost it, I won it, then I lost it, then I lost for the regional title, but to get that shot at the Australian title again, that's a massive goal for me.
Negotiations are still being finalised and a title fight could happen as soon as next month. But with current champion Ben Kelleher potentially set to vacate the belt in order to chase a regional title, just who Plugger will be fighting remains up in the air. But the heavy hitter says he'll be bringing home the belt regardless of the opponent.
They work it out, I just do the training and do the fighting. That's what our team's going for, and I'm back in the camp Friday to make sure we get the shot and make sure I'm right, ready to go.
Good evening. Fine and clear over the north, the east and central parts today. A few showers for the west and far south though. Hobart and Friendly Beach is our warmest with 20 degrees, Launceston 18, Burnie and Devonport 17. Temperatures sat above average, Bushy Park and Fingal 19, Ouse 18, St Helens 17, Low Head and Flinders Island 16 degrees, King Island and Strawn 15. There was some low level cloud over a fair portion of the state that streamed in from the west today. The north and the east of course mostly clear air. More of that low cloud is moving towards Tasmania and Victoria from over the Bight. Northern Queensland has the remnants of the tropical cyclone above, with low cloud bringing onshore winds over the eastern states. The next frontal band is south of WA. Now tomorrow the large high tracks eastwards as a surface trough extends down eastern Queensland, another over northern Western Australia. West to northwesterly winds at 10 to 15 knots, tending more northerly over the east coast tomorrow. Winds reaching 20 knots over the far south as well, and swells at 3 metres. Partly cloudy in Hobart, 9 overnight, 18 tomorrow, 17 the top for Cygnet, maybe a light shower, 60% chance, 17 for New Norfolk and partly cloudy. Launceston, mostly sunny and 17 for Devonport, morning fog for Campbelltown, but okay and 16 degrees. Burnie, partly cloudy and 16, another shower for Strawn, 15 the top and Smithton 16, while for St Helens tomorrow, 18 the maximum, partly cloudy, 18 also for Swansea and Fingal, very consistent. On Friday, fine and partly cloudy over the west, sunny weather for the rest of the state, fine and mostly sunny on Saturday, maybe a possible shower over the west and far south, fine again on Sunday with cloud building ahead of a late shower over the far northwest. Showers easing from Perth tomorrow, sunny weather for Adelaide and Melbourne, mostly sunny and 22 in Sydney, a shower and 25 for Brisbane, a sunny humid 33 in Darwin. And mostly clear over the state at the moment, 12 in Hobart, 11 in Launceston, 13 in Devonport, and the chance still exists too for a dramatic light display in our skies tonight. A couple of solar eruptions may have the aurora australis in full swing as the energy from the phenomenon that connects with the Earth's magnetic field. Now the best time to see this race is between 3 and 5 a.m, which is good for you. Normally you're getting home at that time, but the sound of you tonight, I don't think that's the case.
No, I think I'll be tucked up in bed. Thank you for that advice, Murph.